Hi, it's Kristin with Garage Pilates. So I just wanted to give you a little breakdown on the Meridian Tapping Technique. There's a couple of points, 9 to be exact, that we're going to hit today during the class. This is kind of a jump off of what I taught at Momentum Fest in Denver last month, June of 2022. So we'll start with just the idea that meridians are what we target when we get acupuncture or acupressure. Basically, think of it as blood is to veins as energy is to meridians. So what we'll try to do is educate ourselves on the 9 spots that we're going to tap. We'll tap through them, and then we'll kind of get more and more specific, because the goal is, as counterintuitive as it feels, the goal is that we grab a hold of a negative stressor. We actually focus on the negative, which is not typically what we do when we're trying to, glass is half full. So we're going to take that negative stressor, we're going to really focus on it, we're going to tap through, and we're going to really experience that negative stressor to its fullest, and then just release our energetic response to it. So that's the goal here. Without further ado, the 9 spots that we're tapping. Okay, the first spot is going to be on your hand. So it's right here. And oftentimes it's referred to as the karate chop point. Like if you were going to hit something, it would be that spot. I'm just going to call it side of the hand. So we're just going to tap here. And this is where I want you to really think about experimenting with your technique. So maybe you like to tap with 4 fingers, maybe 3. The idea would be like 2 or more, or maybe you want to tap on the other side. You can't do it wrong. So just get comfortable and kind of experiment with a strategy that feels right for you. You could even hit both together if that feels better. So that's your first spot. The next spot we're going to target is right where the eyebrow meets the bridge of the nose. So kind of right there. And again, we can tap with both hands. I'm going to scooch a little bit closer. You could do both. You could close your eyes and get into it. You can kind of just hit one side more than the other, whatever you feel is good. And then the next spot we're going to go is right on the outside. Not exactly the temple, but kind of a little inside, right on the bone there. So that's the third spot you're going to tap. And again, you could do it one side, you could do both, whatever you like. And next we're going to go underneath. And again, I'm like kind of hitting like right at the top of the cheekbone. I don't want to go too much in the eye socket, too soft. I don't want to go too low. I'm going right at the top of that cheekbone. Good. And then next up, I'm going to go underneath my nose. So just right there, tapping. If I go too low, it feels almost like I'm just hitting my teeth. So figure out what feels good to you. And again, you can do either hand, you can do both, whatever works. After under the nose, it's under the mouth. Same idea. If I go too high, it feels like I'm just hitting my teeth. So I want to feel like it's not the chin, it's not the teeth, it's kind of right in the middle of that. So I tap through that. And then after under the mouth, I'm going to drop it down to collarbone. So I kind of want to find those 2 points, and I go down about 1 inch and out about 1 inch, and then experiment with that. Maybe you like to tap it with all 4 fingers. You could even do like a flat hand and kind of fist. Depending on the size ratio of your area here and your hand, you could probably hit it with both. You could even do like a crossover. So play around with that a little bit and figure out what you like. I'll probably do something that looks more like this. And then the next point we're going to hit is under the arm. So you kind of want to find where the armpit is and do about 4 fingers down and hit right there. And again, same deal. I could do both at the same time. I could do one. I could do like a full slap situation. I could kind of make knuckles and tap into it. Whatever feels good to you. So that's under the arm. Fun fact, my acupuncturist says that this, when she was in China, going to Chinese medicine school, this was an area where oftentimes they would use to stimulate it and then perform a surgery without any anesthesia, minor surgery. So pretty important spot. And then the last spot's going to be the top of the head. And again, there's a lot of meridians that connect here. So you just kind of want to do fingertips on top, and your common sense will tell you like how aggressive to be here. You obviously aren't going to go too crazy, but same idea. You could do one hand, you could do both, whatever feels good. So those are the 9 points that we target in that order. If you get rolling and you're like, oh my gosh, I forgot, like what's the order? It doesn't really matter. You can still feel benefits to hitting some spots and just doing what you can remember. But traditionally, those are the 9 spots. Now, when we go through and we focus on like a negative stressor, we begin to have a conversation about it. So we're going to try to identify the negative stressor, and then we're going to try to give it a feeling and then acceptance. So for example, if you had like a sore hip, you would say something along the lines of, and this is just an example, but maybe take a moment now to identify your negative stressor. Probably not your hip, maybe it is. My words I'm going to articulate through referring to the hip, but you fill in what feels right to you. So we'll just tap through once, focusing on that negative stressor. All right, so here I'm like, my hip, my left hip. My left hip is throbbing. I can't stop thinking about my left hip. Eyebrow, so right here. My left hip feels different than my right. My left hip is sore. My pelvis definitely feels different because of my sore left hip. Side of the eye. So remember, not temple, just inward a little bit. I can still feel my hip. It's more of like a burning sensation. I want to get clear on what I'm feeling. Definite discomfort in my hip. I wonder what it's from. Did I sit too much today? Under the eye. This left hip, it usually bothers me. I wouldn't say it's chronic pain, but it's often uncomfortable. I often feel it. Good, under the nose. Sometimes at night, my left hip does keep me awake. I wonder if my mom ever has a sore left hip. Is this genetic? Did I get it from her? Under the mouth, my left hip. Oh, it's so distracting. It's kind of creeping into my back too. Wonder if my daughter will have this kind of discomfort. Collarbone. Definitely not getting any better. Should I take a Tylenol? What would help my hip feel better? It's so distracting, very uncomfortable. Under the arm. My left hip, it's always been a source of discomfort. I can't even remember when exactly it started, but my left hip is so annoying. Top of the head. That left hip just doesn't stop. Maybe I'll breathe through it. It'll probably go away. I'll just sleep on it and give it some time. That left hip. Deep breath. So now we've completely identified the discomfort factor. So my negative stressor is my left hip. I'm going to give it a feeling now. And for me, it's probably going to be frustration. This left hip is frustrating me. So I identify my feeling. And then I want to tap through, kind of throwing the feeling out. Assume that the feeling could transform, just like the words transformed and kind of grew and mutated as I tapped through. I got more information about my hip. Expect that the feeling could do that as well. There's no right or wrong way to do this. We're just tapping through, seeing what comes up. So I'm going to start with my hand again. And you're welcome to close your eyes, take some deep breaths. My hip is frustrating me. It always hurts. I don't even know the source of it. I don't know why this is happening, but my hip is so frustrating. Good, and then eyebrow, tapping through the eyebrow. It's always the same hip. I'm frustrated about it. I'm annoyed. I'm really annoyed that this hip is constantly a source of discomfort. Side of the eye. This hip is angering me. Frustration, annoyance, anger, under the eye, this hip. It's such a distraction. I can't even think straight when it's so uncomfortable. It's frustrating. Under the nose. The hip pain is ridiculous. It's just a nuisance. It's unnecessary. I'm completely annoyed. I'm completely distracted. I'm angry that I can't get stuff done. Under the mouth. The hip pain makes me resentful. Like, why does it hurt? I'm confused. Why? How did this happen? Collarbone. This hip pain makes me feel frustrated. I think I'm angry more than anything. Why won't it go away? I'm antsy. I want it to go away. Under the arm. this hip pain. I mean, no one else seems to have hip pain. Am I jealous? Am I jealous that other people don't seem to have this discomfort? They seem to be walking, skipping, running happily. Top of the head. But for me, this hip pain is a constant annoyance. It's a distraction. It keeps me from getting things done, and that definitely makes me angry. The hip pain makes me feel angry. Big inhale. Exhale. Now what if we said, this hip pain makes me feel angry, but I deeply and completely accept myself? What if that was the way we truly went through life? So we identify the negative stressor, we know how it triggers us, and yet that's okay. I deeply and completely accept myself. Let's tap through with that being our target statement. And it doesn't have to be word for word. Remember, it's gonna morph as we get going. So we'll tap our hand, either hand, play with that. My hip pain is frustrating, but I deeply and completely accept myself. Good eyebrow. My hip pain is there, it's constant, it's annoying, but I deeply and completely accept myself. Side of the eye. My hip pain is still there, but I deeply and completely accept myself. Under the eye. My hip pain is here, it's persistent, it's aggravating, but I deeply and completely accept myself. Under the nose. My hip still hurts, but I'm okay. I deeply and completely accept myself. Under the mouth. My hip pain is here, it's annoying, I'm frustrated with it, I'm angry about it, but I deeply and completely accept myself. Collarbone. My hip pain makes me resentful, it makes me hesitant, but I deeply and completely accept myself. Under the arm. Although my hip pain is here, and it doesn't seem to be going away, and I am annoyed and frustrated, I deeply and completely accept myself. Top of the head. My hip hurts. It's not lightening. It's there. It's uncomfortable. I'm frustrated about it. I'm annoyed. And I deeply and completely accept myself. Big inhale. And exhale. That last set where we identify the pain and we give it a feeling and then we summarize by just owning it and deeply and completely accepting ourselves, I would suggest you cycle through that tapping about 3 to 4 times. In no hurry, with whatever words that come out, just be really present in your body. It's almost like I want to really feel into this hip pain. I want to be all about it. Usually we're trying to not experience it and take ourselves elsewhere. Not this case. I want to be in the pain. I want to call it to the surface. I want to call it out, give it a feeling, and then tap it away and just accept it. You know, it hurts and I'm okay with that. So that would take a little bit of time. If you're in a bit of a hurry and you're looking for like the Cliff's Notes version, there are certain emotions and feelings that are affiliated easily with different meridian points. So those 9 points are associated with certain feelings. So here's what we're gonna go through on this one. We're gonna hit the target, and then it's gonna be like we release a certain emotion and we call in something to replace it. So this would be when you don't have the time or the energy or the focus to hit all 9 points and devote a moment to the full tapping experience. You know what you're feeling and you're like, what point was that affiliated with? This is where that technique comes in handy. So I'm gonna start with my hand. Big inhale, and then exhale. You're welcome to close your eyes. So here I release any stuck feelings. I invite in and I promote healing. I'm releasing a sense of stuck and I invite in full healing. Eyebrow point. On this point, I'm going to release any sadness. It's gone. I exhale out all my sadness and I promote peace. I'm inviting in peace and tranquility. No longer sad. That empty space is now full of peace. Side of the eye. I release resentment. Resentment to myself, resentment to others, resentment to the past. I release it all. And I invite in clarity. I promote lots of clear thinking, The fog is gone. I see very clearly now, under the eye. I release fear. I'm no longer afraid. I release that fear and I promote safety. I promote a feeling of all is well, I am safe, everything is working out as it should. Under the nose, big inhale. I release shame. I release shame for things I've done, things I've said. I release any ridiculous shame of family, generational, it's all gone, and I invite in self-acceptance. No longer feeling shame, only feeling self-acceptance. Under the mouth. This spot releases confusion, it's gone. I release all confusion and fog, and I promote confidence. I know what I need to do, and I will confidently follow through. The confusion is gone. Collarbone. We're going to release that feeling of stuck, no more stagnant. We're moving forward. We're headed straight. We can't go wrong. We're no longer stagnant. We're forward moving. Every path will take us to where we need to be. Under the arm. Big inhale. I release guilt. All the guilt is gone. Guilty feelings are pointless and they're gone, and I invite in compassion. So the guilt is gone and compassion is in. Top of the head, big inhale. I release imbalances and I promote spiritual connection. So anything that feels off and imbalanced, I exhale that. And with a big inhale, I invite in a spiritual connection to a higher power that brings me peace and love. Big inhale. And exhale, releasing that. Very good. So that's your Cliff's Notes version. There's one more thing we're going to go over, and it's going to be something a little bit more for resetting your vagus nerve, which really, in the most basic of definitions, it controls things that we don't have the power to control with our minds. So like it'll control your heartbeat, digestion, immune system, all the stuff that we can't voluntarily control. That's what our vagus nerve will take over. So we're going to do this a little bit differently. I'm going to have one hand, my right hand is going to be like kind of touching certain points. And then my other hand is going to find, it's going to find my navel, and then I'll go to the side of that. So I want to go to my navel and up an inch and over an inch. We're going to go find your belly button first. Left hand is going to be on your belly button. So you got to know your right and left for this. You're going to find your belly button and you're going to go up 1 inch. Okay. And then you're going to go over to the right 1 inch. Find your belly button, up 1 inch, to the right 1 inch. There you go. Now with your right hand, you're going to go just behind your right ear and you're just going to touch that spot. Okay. So with my tapping hand, I'm going to tap and take an inhale. We don't have any words to do. We're just breathing. Inhale and exhale. And then I move to right above the belly button. Inhale and exhale. Move to the left. Inhale and exhale. Nice. Now I'm going to switch and I'm going to take my hand and go to the left. Okay. So my tapping hand, my left hand is going to do the same thing throughout this entire series. Find the belly button, go up an inch, to the right 1 inch. Big inhale as you tap and exhale, release. Just above the navel, big inhale and exhale. To the left, big inhale and exhale. Good. Now my hand is going to find the back of my head. Like if there was a point here, a corner to my head, I would find that. So I'm just going to touch it. And again, with my tapping hand, I locate the navel. I go up an inch and off to the right 1 inch. Inhale and exhale. Just above the belly button, inhale and exhale. To the left, inhale and exhale. Good. With my hand, I'm going to take it just on the crown of my head, just the tip top of my head. And then with my tapping hand, same deal. Navel, up an inch, over to the right, tap for an inhale and exhale. Tap just above the belly button, inhale and exhale. To the left, inhale and exhale. Good. With my hand, I'm going to locate my like right at the hairline, right where my forehead and my hairline meet. Then I'm going to take my tapping hand up an inch, off to the right. Tap for your inhale and exhale. Above the navel, tap for an inhale and exhale. To the left, inhale and exhale. Good, last point, we're gonna go right between the eyebrows. So right between and I like to use this kind of just a pressure. So I'm covering quite a bit of ground here and I'm not pushing too hard, just enough to get a nice connection. Tapping hand finds the navel, up an inch, off to the right, inhale and exhale. Above the navel, inhale and exhale. Off to the left, inhale and exhale. Very good. Take that energy you've stirred up and just kind of shake it off. Shake off all the excess energy. Very good. So that's your experience with your 9-point Meridian Tapping Technique, the crash course with the cliff notes, kind of targeting each point if you don't have much time, and then just an easy, calm way to reset your vagus nerve. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comment below, or you can always send me an email through my website. It would be at garagepilates.net, and then just click the Contact Us portion. All right, thank you guys for joining me. Have a good night.